I'm Kevin Snyder.
68 degrees, 821 at Country 102 WKZR.
We've cued the music, and you know what that means. It's time for the Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff with Louie Herron.
At the end of the day, what's most important is to find the car you want that meets the expectations that you need for you and your family.
And Randy Beasley.
Of course, the weekend, you got folks maybe thinking it's going to be some nice weather to get outside and peruse the car lots.
And now here they are, Louie and Randy.
Hey, it's Friday, it's middle of the month, and it's a Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff on Country 102. Louie in studio with us today. Good morning.
Good morning. How do you feel?
I feel great. How about you?
Feel just like you. Feel great.
And I'm sure you were sitting in front of the TV last night wanting to watch the SEC Network as it debuted.
You know what? I did turn it on, but it had some Kentucky basketball.
Yeah.
I said, this is about football season. I'm out. When I talk about Vanderbilt and Kentucky, they lose my interest.
Right.
You know? I mean, no offense to any Vanderbilt fans out there.
I will do this programming note. Tonight, I believe it's at 9. You might want to check your schedule.
Okay.
DVR alert. But tonight at 9, they're doing the Georgia preview, Georgia football, on the SEC Network. So set your – and after that, all night tonight through the early morning hours, they're showing some old Georgia games that
man, who doesn't love football?
Yeah,
I mean, literally, man, my toes are wiggling. I can smell the grass.
My wife was so happy when I told her about the SEC Network.
Another programming special that we can keep on between the NFL Network, between the SEC Network. What more? I'm convinced God's a good God. There is definitely football in heaven. I know there is. There's got to be. You know.
And there's no ACL
injuries. But you played football, right? Did you play football growing up?
Very little. I was. I know you can't tell this looking at me now, but I was undersized.
You were,
and
who would have thought that?
Yeah, I was until I met my mother-in-law's yeast rolls. I was undersized.
I always say, and those that have played football will definitely agree with this. Randy, you didn't play much, but I think you'll still agree with this. There is nothing can be duplicated in life that mirrors life metaphorically than a fourth quarter, fourth down, 40 seconds left on the 4-yard line, 11 men have to work together to make something happen, either on offense or defense. You can't duplicate that. And to me, that is such a special dynamic. Those that have played ball understand. I mean, that is life in a nutshell, right? I mean, rent's due. It's the end of the month. You got to make the sale. You got to close the deal. You got to get those last hours in. I mean, overtime. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. There's nothing like football.
And there's a new football movie coming out. There seems to be one of these every couple of years. I'm trying to remember the name of it. I'm going to find it here for you. Jim Caviezel is the star of it, but it's a new football movie, and it's about based on a true story about a football team. I don't remember exactly where they were, but they had this long winning streak. Have you seen the previews for this?
No, I haven't. We'll have to pull the trailer up during the break here.
Right. Well, it goes into all of the. When the Game Stands Tall is the name of it. It goes into all of the trials and tribulations they had after this winning streak ended, and about trying to get kids into college and injuries and all this. But that Jim Caviezel, When the Game Stands Tall, is I think it debuts next weekend.
Well, you remember the Titans, right? Great movie.
Sure.
Beautiful stuff, man.
And Friday Night Lights.
Oh my gosh, there's nothing. Those that are listening that played ball understand completely my enthusiasm. It is a great game, and it's a great time of year. The fall, it's just exciting. I can't beat it.
I'll tell you one other football movie that
you're filled with them this morning.
Yeah, with the passing of Robin Williams.
Yes.
You need to go back in time and see The Best of Times. It's from 1986. If you haven't seen it. Robin Williams and Kurt Russell, football movie.
Okay.
And while parts of it are about comedy, a lot of parts of it are about football and life. So check that one out. Another way to remember Robin Williams, check out The Best of Times. Can't believe that movie is almost 20 years old. Okay.
Aging yourself a little bit.
Yeah, we've done our football. Yes, we have. How'd the Dolphins do last weekend?
You had to bring that up, right? Well, look,
they should have won that game at the end.
Well,
that's football.
We those that didn't watch, obviously Miami had the ball there on about the 5-yard line with about a minute and a half left and fumbled, and the game was over. But
with a bunch of people on the field who we didn't know their names from either team. Yeah.
But you know what? I got to see 7 plays of Ryan Tannehill. Good news is there was no sack sacks given up for the Dolphins. That was encouraging. So, and Atlanta looked good too. I was watching their line, watching how they looked offense and defense. They did pretty well. That first drive, the first team defense didn't look well, but then Matt Ryan got on the field, and our defense looked horrible. They came down on a 16-play drive.
Yeah. Have you seen any of Hard Knocks with the Falcons?
I did. I DVR'd it, and I actually saw last week's episode. I just, man, how do you not love that stuff?
That's interesting
you
stuff.
Just love that stuff.
It is. Okay, well, we need to take a break.
I just want to put the pads on, man. I just want to put the helmet on one more time. That's it, and I'm good.
We need to take a break, but tell us about
we're gonna
today.
Stay with us as we come back from the break. 10 benefits of buying a used car. There's some things about buying a pre-owned car that I think you just need to know. I think buying new is awesome. I think a new car, you can't go wrong to the degree of what you're getting, but I think there are 10 benefits, the top 10 list we're going to count down of why you want to consider buying a used car, and if you do, what steps you need to take so you don't make a mistake.
All right, we'll be back with Louie Herron. It's the Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff, brought to you by Louie's Lake Lot, toward Lake Oconee near the Pyramid. 68 degrees at Country 102 WKZR. Here's Toby Keith. I'm doing my best. That's the first time. Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff with Louie in studio today, and we're talking about 10 reasons. Not going to do them all in this break, I don't think, but
No.
10 reasons to consider a pre-owned vehicle.
Well, we've been doing this a while. You're pretty. Give me one. Let's see if it's number 10.
All right. Well, it won't be number 10. The first one that comes to my mind is when you drive off the lot with that new car, it just depreciated by 20%.
That's number 9. Number 10. Number 10 is definitely price. Obviously, buying a pre-owned car is going to be less expensive than a new car, and I think a lot of people have the fear. One of the things that when people think about buying a used car, you think you're buying somebody else's problems. That's the first thing that probably runs through somebody's mind. But again, you can really eliminate that fear with all the stuff in the marketplace now, such as Carfax. I mean, we didn't have that information, 15 years ago when you wanted to buy a car. You didn't know the history of the car. Remember, I told you last week we talked about ask for the folder, right? So buying a new car, you want to eliminate that fear of buying somebody else's problems. You're going to get a cheaper price than a new car. So buying somebody else's problem is eliminated by getting the Carfax, the auto check, and then again, like we said last week, is ask for the folder. Randy, you want to remind the folks what's in that folder that we talked about last week?
There's a lot of information in that folder. We talked about if first of all, if the dealer doesn't have a folder, that's a red flag. And first of all, if there's nothing in it except maybe a spider web, and that's not a good thing either.
Yeah, in that folder that you should have the history. Remember last week I discussed kind of like the folder's kind of like the birth certificate. You want to find out where that car's been, where did it come from. You want to find out what services you do to the car, what was recommended. I want to know, what did the service manager recommend to fix on the car that the sales manager said no, we don't want to fix that. Does that mean that the sales manager made a wrong decision? Absolutely not. Remember, when a dealership or anybody that's selling automobiles gets a car in stock, and you're looking at these used cars, you have two choices to make. You can make a used car new and price yourself out of the market, okay? Or you can make this used car a value buy, and you can make sure that you have all the safety, mechanical, everything makes sure it's roadworthy. But I think also the right thing to do is let the customer know what was the declination. What did you decline as a sales department? What did you turn down? I want to know. You did the brakes, you did tires. That's good. You changed the oil and filled the fluids. That's great. You balanced the tires, you rotate them. That's awesome. What did you not do? I just want to be aware of it. Does that mean that, because you may want to do it. You may say, okay, well, you decided not to do a service on the car. Maybe it's got 26,000 miles on it and it's due for its 30,000 mile service. That's $300. You decided not to do it. That's fine. But I may want to do it. I may want to include it in the price. And before I take delivery, I want you to do it. Okay. Mm-hmm. So again, that folder should have the NADA, the KBB, should have the Carfax, the service ticket. It should have the history of the car, where it came from. Did you buy it from the auction? Did you get it off a rental fleet? Did you buy it was it a trade-in? These are the information that you're going to want to know. So number 10 is when you buy a pre-owned car, you are going to get a cheaper price. When we come back, we want to talk about number 9, which is the value. When I tell you the depreciation, you're going to freak out. And this one is going to be a home run if you're looking to save money and get the best buy. You want to stay tuned to the next number 9 because it's really filled with information that you probably may not know.
Louie Herron Weekend Kickoff on Country 102, 68 degrees.
What would be better than having someone pick up your old clunker of a car and hauling it off? How about if
There's Chris Young on Country 102. Our Bobby Brown Insurance Agency time is 8:38. 68 degrees now, and it's the Louie Herron weekend kickoff on Country 102 with Louie in studio. We're talking about the top 10 reasons to consider a pre-owned vehicle.
That's right. We talked price. The next one is value. Here's one of the shocking things that people, you may recall, Randy, we've discussed this before, but 3 years later, a new car is worth half of its original MSRP. So a $20,000 car 3 years later is worth $10,000. Now that's a rule of thumb. Some, believe it or not, take a bigger hit than that, but that's going to give you a good barometer. So when you're looking at, and here's even the more shocking piece, is that legitimately 25 to 30% of its value is lost in the first year. So when you're talking about value and you're looking at a 2014 Hyundai, let's just say, the same car in 2013 legitimately can be $6,000 to $7,000 cheaper. I mean, that is huge, substantial savings. So when you're considering, and really, if you look at a car that's 1 year old, I mean, a Steel would be a 7,000 or 8,000 mile 1 year old car. You're going to pay a little more for that, but you're still going to save a lot. But typically, a 1 year old car is going to have 12,000, 14,000 miles on it. Where the real deal is at is when you buy a 1 year old car that's got about 20,000 miles on it, because it's going to take a major hit in the mileage category. So when you're looking at a car, or we're appraising a car and it's 1 year old and it's got 23,000 miles on it, I mean, that's going to take a serious hit. And that hit, when they appraise that car or purchase that car, those savings should be passed on to you. If you're savvy and you're researching and you can see, it's a huge savings.
Well, let me ask you this. Let's say that you've got a vehicle and there wasn't like a big body change. You know, it wasn't like a model year where they changed the style completely, or they changed the engine. But to me, it would seem like the first thing I want to do is go see, well, what does the new one cost?
Right.
And then if I've got this one that's a year old with 20,000 miles, then I should have a good idea of how much I should save.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and the other thing you want to watch out for is, let's say that let's say you want a new Highlander. Great example. When I was with Toyota, the 2014 Highlander, beautiful vehicle, totally different than the 13. Well, that vehicle's hard to get brand new. There are some pre-owned 14s right now available in Highlander, but you would have to pay a lot of money for that car because the supply is so low.
Right.
So that's another part of what we always discuss about research. And look, you've got to be savvy enough to understand and realize that if you're looking at a new car and you want to really take advantage of those savings and get an 8-month-old new car, right? So it's a used 2014. Now's a great time. But unfortunately, if the body style changed, like you just mentioned, you still may pay up for that car and pay too much for that. You may be better off getting a new one. In other words, if you can get a car, for example, I was looking at one the other day for someone who wanted a 14 pre-owned Highlander. That's a $43,000 car, $44,000 car at the auction. Well, it stickers for $45,000.
Wow.
So if you buy one for $43,500 at the auction, by the time you transport it back, you do a frame and mechanical inspection, you pay a buy fee to the buyer, and you pay the auction fee. Well, that's another $1,000. So a $43,000 car is now back at the lot at $44,000. Well, if it stickers for $45,000, you might as well just go get a brand new one. So you've got to be smart enough to realize, and you want to take advantage of those savings. So if you're looking for a hot vehicle, brand new, Chevy Vet right now. I mean, and you want a 1 year old Vet, you're still going to pay for that car. New body style change, sought after vehicle, and there are many others in the marketplace. So to get that great deal on a pre-owned car, same year model, you want to make sure there's not a body style change. If there's not a body style change, you're going to get a huge savings.
Tell me if this is still true today. It seems like there's a big price difference with a car that's got 49.5 on it compared to one that's got 50, or one that's got 99,000 compared to 100,000. That number is in a lot of people's heads. I don't know if it works that way. It used to be that way to me. It seems like that everybody, they had a number in their head. Well, I want a car that's got less than 30,000, or I want one that's got less than 50,000. Is that just perception? Sometimes perception's reality?
Yeah, I think it is. I think really what I would steer everybody to is back to the research, because people have a number in their head, whether it's a number on a car, number on miles, whatever that number on your head is. And I think the only way you can validate that is twofold. A, you got to go to 3 lots and compare 3 different stores before you realize what you're looking at is what it is, or you do the research prior to coming to the lot and measure that against what they're asking, what they're looking for.
Louie Herron weekend kickoff on Country 102 with Louie Herron in studio this morning. Back with more in a moment. Right now, Zach Brown Band.
Georgia.
Braves start a weekend series with the Oakland A's tonight at Turner Field, 6:20 pregame on Country 102.
Let's visit a minute with Miller Norris at Norris Wheel and Brake on East Hancock Street.
Hey, Scott, we were talking about doing some different advertising, and almost makes me want to see if I need to change the name of my business, because a lot of people seem to think that all we do is wheels and brakes. Actually, we do just about everything else other than automatic transmission rebuilding. Go back to the things that I have done for years and years, repairing windows, air conditioning. Of course, we still specialize in the front end alignments and tire balancing and that sort of thing, but as far as CV axles, wheel bearings, the best thing to do is call me and tell me what your problem is, and we'll see if we can solve it for you with the best parts at the best price we can give you. Just remember, there's more to Norris Wheel and Brake than wheels and brakes.
Where are you located, sir?
401 East Hancock Street, down toward the river bridge on the right in the red metal building.
It's time to get dirty at South Creek Mud Boggin this Saturday night. South Creek features the best Middle Georgia has to offer in open pit mud bogging. The pit has been completely rebuilt and filled with Georgia red clay. Gates open at 3 p.m. Mud flies at 7. Adults $10. Kids under 8 just $2. ATVs, dirt bikes, UTVs, golf carts $10. No glass bottles allowed and strictly enforced. Rain or shine, South Creek Mud Boggin off Highway 441 South, Milledgeville. No overnight camping allowed. Park closes at 2 a.m.
8:49 at Country 102. It's the Louie Herron weekend kickoff show with Louie in studio with us this morning. We're talking about the best reasons to consider a pre-owned vehicle.
Well, a lot of it has to do with their money. People are working, Randy, way too hard for their money these days to squander any dollars, nickels and pennies. We want to make sure that we can kind of put them all together. We talked about price. We talked about value. That depreciation is such a huge piece. The other thing I want to mention, too, and I'm not an insurance guy, but I will tell you that typically your insurance is cheaper on a pre-owned vehicle. So, again, when we're talking about your dollars, and you're looking at budget, a lot of people, Randy, when they're looking at budget, they say, okay, I got to be around a $300 payment. Okay, well, the reality is there's more to the budget than just the payment. You got to consider, your interest, your insurance, what kind of maintenance is going to be on that car, what kind of depreciation. And on the other side, new car dealers may say, hey, listen, on a new car, there's very little maintenance. Well, remember, when you get a pre-owned car and you get a late model pre-owned car, that car is still, these cars are made very sound. The maintenance requirements and what's supposed to be maintained on that car should be good for 75, 80,000, 100,000 miles.
Yep, you got gas too. You got to consider that.
Absolutely,
in your budget.
absolutely, and figuring out what car you're going to purchase. So again, number 8 would be the insurance is typically cheaper. The other thing, number 7, is to avoid some of the inflated prices. So what do you think I mean by that? We're talking about new to used. What would be inflated on new versus used? What would you think?
Well, I don't know. When you buy a new car, you got add-ons, you got undercoating.
Right.
Got
well, here's what, and you do have those things, but
I will tell you. I will say this: if you're buying a new car and you want it tricked out, to me, you're going to pay a lot more than when you go to buy that same pre-owned car. Compare it to something that's not as tricked out. The accessories.
Let me tell you this, and there's nothing wrong with buying accessories on a new car. Okay, we used to sell them. When I was a Toyota dealer, we would sell them. It's not a problem. But I just want you to know: would you believe that in half the cases, there's more money made on accessories than they're made on the car. Would you believe that if I told you that?
Yeah, I would believe that.
And let me tell you, if you're listening, you may say, wait a minute, that didn't make sense. I know car dealers got to make $2,000 or $3,000 every time they sell a car. Not the case. The market is so competitive, especially selling new cars. Everybody knows invoice. Everybody knows where to find that information. Everyone's cutting everyone's throat for $100. There are times we make $200 on a car. $200 on a $25,000 car. And again, those that have never been in the industry may find that hard to believe. That is the truth. And we can make $500 on an accessory. Mm-hmm. We sit back sometimes and go, man, that is unbelievable that somebody will pay $700 profit on 6 accessories, and we made $375 on the car. Now, we may have made $900 total on the car, which is a fair deal. No problem with that. But the reality is, something you've got to look at. When I'm talking about inflated prices is simply this. When you buy a new car, you want to buy a XLE, or you want to buy an EX Accord or EXL or whatever trim level, most manufacturers with every trim package, you just don't get, you want the leather, but it's the leather, navy, and roof. And you're like, well, gosh, I don't want to pay $6,900. I just want the leather. Well, you can add leather, but that's, $29.95. Where you're like, well, my goodness, for $3,000, I might as well get. And before you know it, you've bumped up $5,000. Right. When you buy a pre-owned car, you're buying that XLE or that EXL or whatever trim level as a pre-owned car. It's already appraised and sold and packaged as the car. Mm-hmm. So you're not having to pay an additional to get some of that extra stuff on a pre-owned car, especially. I can't express to you enough. A 1 or 2 year old car is such a bargain. It's a great buy, and again, you can avoid paying some of those inflated prices.
Louie Herron weekend kickoff. We're going to be back one more time with Louie on today's edition of the kickoff show. 68 degrees our forecast today. Another nice day, sunny, low 90s. And looks like your weekend's going to be sunny for the most part, maybe an isolated thunderstorm Sunday afternoon, but low 90s and low, again, we should be in the mid to upper 60s for Saturday morning. Right now, 69 degrees at Country 102 with Brad Paisley. Country 102, 69 degrees, 8:56. Louie Herron weekend kickoff. And all right, Louie, we've been talking about reasons to consider a pre-owned vehicle. You now have Louie's Lake Lot, the used car. You've had that place, but that's mm-hmm. where you're getting it done right now. Tell us how this ties into what you're doing at the Lake Lot.
Well, obviously we don't sell new cars, but we definitely sell nearly new cars. I will tell you this though: if I've had 2 or 3 customers, we've had the Lake Lot for over 4.5 years now, so it's not something that we just started. Although we're putting a lot of effort into it because that's what we have. But I have sold some new cars for customers there. I've had scenarios where I've had local customers that wanted to deal with me, and one in particular wanted a Jeep. And so, we went out and bought a Jeep from a new car franchise and turned back around and sold it to her, so we can do those kind of things if you're interested. It's not out of the question at all. We also find vehicles. Here's one of the unique things. I believe that a lot of people in business take the path of least resistance. Okay, it's easier to sell what you got, and of course, I want to do the same thing. I've got inventory and money tied up in costs there. I want to sell that. However, if you go to louieslakelot.com. That's louieslakelot.com, and you don't see a vehicle you're looking for out of the 60, 65 cars that we have there. And we've got cars coming in and out. The inventory goes from 60 to 80 to 58 to 71, and we got cars coming in and out. If there's not something there that you are totally in love with, or you come to the lot, we'll find it for you. And here's how that works. A lot of people won't find a car without a deposit. Why would they? If you're not going to have a commitment to me, I wouldn't get the car. I believe that if you put your best foot forward, you're going to make more than you miss. I may miss out on a couple, but simply if you want a vehicle that we don't have, what I'll do is get your email address, and what I'll do is we'll locate 4 or 5 of them. What I'll simply do is send you the pictures of the 4 or 5 vehicles. You'll say, Louie, I like that one. Once you select the one that you like, I'll tell you, this is what I paid for it. Here's what you can pay for it. At that point, if we want to go to the financing side, we'll get the credit information. I'll say, here's the rate, here's the payment, here's what I paid for it. Once you've decided that all looks good, we get the vehicle. Once we get the vehicle here, it's subject to a ride and drive. If for some reason the vehicle doesn't meet your expectations, no deal. No sweat. We back up and punt. We'll go at it again. I've made more deals that way than you would imagine, and the customer didn't give me a penny. They like doing business that way. They like that opportunity, and they don't have to have the stress and pressure knowing that, what if you get it? I don't like it. Well, if you've got the rate, you've got the payment, you've got the price, you've got the pictures, you know what you can pay for it. It's got a clean Carfax, and it's subject to a ride and drive, and you've done some research. We rarely miss a deal, Randy. It's a no-brainer for the consumer and us. The location, obviously, is it's 980 Lake Oconee Parkway. It's right next to the Pyramid. It's in Putnam County. Major intersection there between the McDonald's, Crow Marina, and our location by the Pyramid. So I'm sure you've passed it as you go by. Again, one of the things I will tell you is price. Look, Randy, we've got a trailer there, and it's not like I'm extremely proud of that trailer, but the bottom line is I don't have a huge facility. I don't have a lot of people. It's me and 3 other people. So you get to deal with the owner, okay? I'm there all the time, and bottom line is prices are typically cheaper when there's less expenses to pay. So we have the luxury, if we want to make a tight deal, or if I've got a car that's been in inventory a little bit too long and I've got to lose a few bucks on it because it's going to the auction next week, I'd much rather do that to a consumer and get a customer and start building a relationship than I would sell it to the auction and give it to a wholesaler. So
and you've got it worked out with service right there nearby. So.
Yes, yeah, we've got John with Automotive Solution does a great job. We've sent some cars to if it's a Ford, sometimes we'll send it to the Ford dealership. If it's a Toyota, we may send it to the Toyota dealership depending on what needs to be done. We're going to fix it right, one compliment I got from one of the technicians, they said, man, we were really shocked that really you spend the money on these cars. We're going to make the cars right. We're not going to just put a car out there that's not right, and we got to deal with the customer 4 weeks later. That's brain damage for everybody.
Louie Herron, weekend kickoff. Have a great weekend, sir.
Thank you so much.
All right, this is Country 102 WKZR Milledgeville, 69 degrees at 9 o'clock.
Instead of